You will never understand the truth that someone else explains to you. Let them live their truth. There is no meaning in accepting it yourself, and thus there is no meaning in arguing against it. Let them enjoy something that they have discovered. No matter how many discoveries are made, no matter how many faces it carries, truth will always be the same, and it is what most of us live with. Yet, beyond this, there is absolutely no truth at all. For truth itself exists only in the realm of duality, in the realm of illusion. This is not something that is understood, but something that is realized. See, truth, when explained, turns into translation. Translations are always partial, they are not original, they are colored by the speaker's lens and the listener's filters. Even if the words are perfect, the experience that gave birth to that truth cannot be communicated. It is like trying to explain the taste of a fruit. You can describe its sweetness, its texture, but the taste itself cannot be carried over. Truth is individual, it is personal. Letting people live in their truth without trying to validate or dismantle it is perhaps the only compassionate thing to do. The moment you argue for it or against it, you are still playing in duality, where truth exists only because falsehood does. The moment we utter truth, we have already betrayed it. Because for something to be true, something else must be false. Truth, it feeds on the skeleton of duality. Day only exists because night exists. Purity exists because of impurity, existence because of non-existence. Thus, truth cannot stand independently. It must depend upon something that is not true. In the Upanishads, Brahman or Sat is not this truth that we are so fond of. Brahman does not need an opposite. Tat Tvam Asi, that you are, beyond comparison. Advaita Vedanta calls Brahman Sat Chit Ananda, being, consciousness, bliss, simply non-dual. This, however, feels and sounds absurd because we have been sold truth in various masks: the religious truths, political truths, scientific truths, even personal truths. Every single individual is proud of what they have discovered. Maybe it works for them, like a medicine that might calm down their fever. The absurdity is born out of them trying to universalize their truth, as if their cure must be prescribed for everyone else. We simply cannot understand someone else's truth because understanding itself is an act of translation into our own categories. We are not meeting their truth, we are redressing it in our own clothing, laced with our own attachments, with our own duality. What then is non-dual? In Sanskrit, Advaita does not mean one. It literally means not two. Understand this. To say one will imply its opposite, many. To say not two will point towards a reality that slips through the arithmetic of the mind, because you will learn that there is nothing to add, deduct, multiply, or divide. Non-dual is not a state. It is not this, it is not that. Neti, Neti, as the Upanishads say. Whatever you point at, it is not that. It is not an experience, because every experience needs an experiencer, and the experienced, which is duality. It is not knowledge, because knowledge requires knower and known. Non-dual is when all categories collapse: the seer and the seen, the thinker and the thought, the questioner and the answerer. Non-duality is silent, absolute silence. Silence is not the absence of sound, it is the absence of division. If you try to think about it as a state, it automatically becomes noise. Here, you have drawn a line between silence and not silence, and thus the wholeness gets lost. If you see silence as a state, you have trapped it inside time and achievement. A state is something that comes and goes, like happiness, anger, calmness. If silence is a state, then there must be a before and after states as well. This becomes duality again. The silence I am referring to is not an achievement. It is not something you can enter or leave. Definitely not a place where you arrive after some discipline or practice. Think about it this way: if you sit down to achieve silence, very effort makes noise. Silence is what has always been, what is, and what will always be. Before words, before thoughts, before naming. It is the ground. It is the absence of states and the absence of trying. The silence that can be achieved is not silence. Then how do you realize? Well, if you ask it as a method, there is none, because every method creates a seeker and a goal, which already is duality. If you look at it as a moment, it is always now, but the second you look for now, it is gone. Realization is not something you achieve, it is what remains when you stop trying to achieve. Be effortless. Do not chase. The very ordinary act of breathing, walking, eating, hearing, seeing in its rawest form, before you name them, before you divide, observe without division into the subject or the object. Observe as is. You realize by not trying to realize. What remains has always been you.